Hey guys, it's Matt from the Tej Matt platform here, and welcome back to our Raising Finance series. This is the final episode in this series, and we just wanted to touch on working with angels versus working with joint ventures. So the difference between the two, from my perspective, and probably the same for Tej, would be that an angel investor is someone who invests at a fixed term for a fixed rate into your project, into your business. And it's the same with if you're a startup business, because they can do a fixed loan, or they can buy equity in your business. And the same with property. That would be a joint venture where someone then's buying equity in the property. Now there's an important distinction between the two, because angel loans are not regulated by the FCA in the same way. As long as they're friends and family or sophisticated investors or high net worth individuals, then that's fine. You can work with those individuals. When it comes to joint ventures, that becomes more regulated. So you need to be a lot more careful about how you approach it. The one thing I'd be talking about would be, and angel investors, you can find a deal and then raise finance that way, as we both do. For joint ventures, what we generally say is to go and find your joint venture partner first, and then go, find deals together, rather than selling a joint venture proposition. What's your take on that?
I think, the problem for me with joint ventures is another human.
Yeah.
And it sounds really bad. Like, I love people, clearly.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of regulation. Like a marriage, like a relationship, shit can go wrong, and shit will go wrong. Because I've created an abundance of people wanting to loan me money, I see no point in JVing. Because, for example, in my deals, I buy buy-to-lets. So my profit per month is like 250 to 340.
It's a lot to share, isn't it?
Yeah. So I say to people, look, there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of accounting. Mm-hmm. There's a lot, in terms of this relationship, that has to work. Mm-hmm. For 150 each max. Why?
What's the point?
Yeah, most people are actually, Tej, you're right. And I say, look, if I had a big block of flats and we're talking, thousands a month, or HMOs like you do, it's a different story. Yeah. I would more likely consider it then. But because of the people who want to loan me money, it just doesn't make sense to give equity for money that I'm already raising at a much cheaper rate. I think also there's a lot of people who just want property. Random has messaged me on Instagram, all these places saying, hey, will you JV? And I'm like, I don't know you. So bro, we got to we got to get to know each other first. And I think with JVs, it's all too easy to be like, oh, you got money? Yeah. I got a deal. Let's jump in bed. And it doesn't always work out.
Well, no, your one night stand would rarely work out. Yeah. So why would you decide to suddenly jump into bed with someone that you've just met?
Exactly.
So we've got a very strict rule when it comes to joint venturing, is that we've got to work together before actually joint venture. So the only people that are eligible for joint ventures with us are people that have invested with us previously as an angel.
I agree with that.
Because that just means that you've tested the relationship, you've been through the good, maybe you've been through some bad, and then you can actually then go and work together. Yeah. And I think that's really important. So probably at least knowing someone for a year before you actually start putting money together into projects.
I agree, and I think JVs can work fantastically, of course. I know someone who has JV partners who put in millions, and they say, I don't care what you do. Yep. Here's an SPV with £1 million in it. We will get we own both of them, but then me as an investor gets to own 50% of something. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely benefits to it, but like I said, it depends on the deal, depends where you're investing, and depends on your want to. You don't need JVs to grow a portfolio quickly, but you do need money. Mm-hmm. So if all you're getting is JVs, then it's quite a tricky one to kind of say, don't say yes to JVs when you're at the beginning and you've got 10 deals and you want to grow your portfolio.
I've seen so many people who start that way, and then it just all falls apart really quickly because those relationships break down. And it's funny though, because sometimes the profit that you can get on a JV is the same as someone could make on an angel. So if the deal's not good enough, or there's an overspend, etc. Say on a joint venture, it's shared risk, shared reward. So that return as a joint venture goes down for the person who's putting the money in when things go slightly awry. Now, if you have an angel loan, then the angel's profit stays the same and the developer's profit goes down. So actually there's less risk for the investor through doing an angel investment.
It's better for them.
Venture.
If they don't want to be in property, they just want a return, it's much better. But there are people who just want to own property. It's the ego thing, right? I have assets, got a property. That's fine. But sometimes you get a better return without it. Another thing is mortgage paperwork. with one person it's hard enough as it is just to fill the crap in and fit their endless criteria. There's two of you, it's even more, and there's even more fees. So my buy-to-let profit is just nothing. I'm not closed to JVs, but much preferably with people who I've invested with before. It's a relationship, and it's a strained relationship because things will go wrong. In the refurb, in the whatever, things will always just naturally go wrong.
And I think that's the most important thing to remember. It is getting married to someone, it's getting tied to someone for a longer period of time, especially if you're holding the property. You want to be in like 5 to 10 year agreement, so you want to make sure that all the parties are on the same page for that same amount of time. So I think that's really key. So that's probably about enough about Raising Finance for 1 year. So thanks, Tej, for joining us for this Raising Finance series. If you want to hear more or see more about what we're doing, then click on the link in and around this video and you can find out more about what we do at the Agent platform and tune in to Tej Talks. And check out Tej Invests.
Yes, please.